You're currently missing 3 of the 4 context inputs your AI prompts need. That's why your AI output sounds like every other expert in your field. Yeah, sure, it's polished and confident, but heck, it's also some kind of forgettable right away. And this stuff makes your authority erode one slop post at a time. The fix to this is more than just better prompting. I've spent 2 years building these AI systems for senior researchers, founders, and consultants. The same 4 inputs show up in fewer than 1 in 20 prompts that I see. In this video, I'll walk you through all 4 today. The retrieval workflow that ends hallucinations and the voice fix that makes the AI model sound like a senior version of you. So let's assume you spend a year collecting better prompts, but you're still rewriting every draft by hand, and maybe you're still getting garbage. Here's why that advice keeps failing you and why following it for another 6 months will leave you exactly where you are right now, invisible. A prompt is basically just an instruction to a large language model or LLM. Instructions only work when the receiver already knows the situation. Imagine you're hiring a new research assistant on Monday morning. You walk up to their desk and you say, "Hey there, can you write me a thought leadership piece on AI in healthcare?" They're gonna give you that kerfuffled deer in the headlights look because they've never met your clients and they don't know how to write in your voice because they haven't read a single one of your papers. So here's what you'll get back. A polished, confident, completely generic draft, but this is exactly the draft that you've been deleting for the past year. Prompt engineering is the instruction at the end. Context engineering is the briefing that has to come before it. The model is just like your assistant. The prompt is just the task you give your assistant. Context is everything the assistant needs to know to do the task just like you would. It's like a standard operating procedure or SOP document that you should give to a trainee. If you skip that essential briefing, or we could call it the onboarding for them, you could get that confused intern draft back every time. So don't skip that essential briefing or onboarding for them. Otherwise, you'll just get back that confused intern draft every time. It doesn't even matter how clear your instructions are, so always brief the LLM with your context. Every effective prompt breaks down into 4 broad elements: task, context, input data, output format. Most experts get one of them right and call the prompt done. But your output will often still sound generic because 3 of the 4 are vague or missing. And if you get this wrong, you'll just keep rewriting AI drafts by hand for hours. And that's the exact thing that AI was supposed to fix for you, right? So every clear prompt has all 4 of these elements. Most bad prompts just have one of them. 1. Task. The explicit verb you want the model to do. Rewrite, summarize, critique, compress, translate. The more specific your verb is, the less the model has to guess what you want. If you're just firing off a generic prompt to help you with this draft, you're going to get generic help slop. Is that a thing? Like Sloppy Joe's Help Edition? Anyways, if you ask for something more precise, like rewriting the second paragraph to cut every contraction that you've used, you will get a clean rewrite of that exact second paragraph. 2. Context. Here you supply the background and knowledge the model draws on. And this is where you can really shine as an expert because you have a lot of domain knowledge and ideally you are also aware of the audience that you serve with that knowledge. And you know the way that you usually write your output. So if you put in all of these constraints, you will rule out wrong directions in the output of your model. Most experts that I know just drop in a sentence of background and call it a day. But the model actually needs full-on paragraph or even a full markdown document with background knowledge to get the best possible results for you. 3. Input data. This is the actual material you want the model to operate on. Often we use transcripts or PDF files or just initial drafts of what we're working on. A lot of the times the model just needs real material to work on because then it can actually make the edits that you desire. Without giving it real material to work off of, you're generally drifting towards the average of the internet, and you have less specificity than you would want in your output. 4. Output format. This is how you want the answer to arrive back to you. There are a lot of nuances to the format format that you work on with AI. A 150-word LinkedIn post is very different from a JSON data object with 5 named keys or a 2-column data table sorted by frequency. A lot of the times we just want bullet lists, and then we must specify what kind of items go on that bullet list and how many words we want each bullet to be, or if we want a full report. We have to be explicit about the depth and the format of the report. So to get the best results, what I would do is I would try to specify this shape of the output so that the model doesn't automatically move toward whatever, shape or output format it has produced last, or what it considers to be the average best answer for your request. Task, context, input data, output format. Put all 4 into the prompt before you write a single line of instructions to an LLM. It's funny when you think of it, because that same model and the same source material will actually produce completely different output for you if you apply these techniques. This alone will improve the quality of every AI draft that you write this year. One thing I want to mention here as well is that you'll often see much advice from 2025 to open every prompt with something like act as a senior strategist or pretend that you're a McKinsey partner. This used to be the gold standard, and I have advised this in the past, but recent research on this is pretty mixed. Across large-scale tests, personas sometimes improve the output, sometimes they hurt it, and often they have no measurable effect on factual accuracy. They do change style and tone consistently, so just use a role when you know that the persona is better defined than the model's default voice. Skip it when you don't. So before I show you the part that most experts skip, just a quick aside. A lot of you watching are sitting on serious academic credentials and serious expertise, and your market still can't tell why you matter. I call this a positioning problem, and AI can't fix it for you because AI will faithfully amplify whatever vague positioning you already have. So I've built a 5-minute quiz that diagnoses the exact bottleneck keeping your expertise from showing up as visible authority. It tells your expert type and the one thing blocking your demand. The link is in the description and pinned in the top comment below. Take it after watching the video. Now back to context. There is one kind of garbage worse than generic prose: confidently wrong facts. And we've all heard the horror stories. The fastest way to burn 10 years of credibility is publishing an AI-generated citation that doesn't exist. The repair for this can take years. Here's how to make sure that this never happens to you. The fix is one simple switch. You stop asking the model to recall and you hand it the source to recognize. We call this fix RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. The name sounds super technical, I know, but the idea is quite simple. You hand the model the source and you ask it to read it. You have some good options here, but many frontier LLMs allow the use of RAG through projects or through running within folders with documents on your computer. The current gold standard is Google's Notebook LM, which lets you upload up to 50 documents or more if you're on the Pro plan and ask questions across them. It's a powerful tool for academics and anyone creating local knowledge sources, or as I call them, little brains, that allow you to query specific instructions, books, or SOPs that you've either created yourself or that you found useful to your business or to your academic endeavors. Then there's also this tool called Glean, which is a version of that for enterprises where the employees need answers across Slack, Google Drive, Confluence, Jira, Salesforce, and other internal systems, and then Glean basically retrieves all of that information quickly for you. The one that you're likely most familiar with is for journalism or market research, Perplexity AI, which is a real-time web-scale RAG, and an answer engine because it retrieves and ranks relevant sources and then uses an LLM to synthesize all of these sources into a concise answer with full citations. So it doesn't really rely just on model memory. Perplexity AI is one of my favorites here because it combines the live retrieval, the grounding with sources, and cited generations for fast, factual answers of your questions and giving you deeper research workflows as well. Now, if you're doing deeper research work on the academic side, your inputs likely come from Google Scholar, Consensus, SciSpace, or Elicit. The last three run on something that is called a semantic search, which often runs through the Semantic Scholar API. Semantic search reads the meaning of your search query. That's why it finds papers that traditional Google Scholar misses with just simple keyword matching. But Google Scholar caught up and also recently introduced semantic searching, but at the time of filming this video, it was still in beta. The rule is simple here. Never ask the model to recall a fact. hand it the source and ask it to summarize, compare, fact check, or cite directly from the provided source. You will get way fewer hallucinations, almost close to zero. The result of that is that your drafts will now come with references that you can actually verify yourself. And double checking your output makes sure your reputation stays intact. Here's another tip. 5 of your best pieces pasted in full at the top of every prompt or as documents in your operating folder that you're running the AI on do more for your voice than any 9-section voice brief ever will. Models imitate better than they follow rules. Our reflex move to improve AI output is usually to write a voice brief. Bullet points that describe your tone or certain adjectives for your unique personality. Maybe you have a list of banned words. That works too, but this is also only the second best fix. A lot of LLMs really struggle specifically with the rules that contradict real-world facts. There's research that shows that performance can drop if you're using non-factual rules, which indicates that LLMs rely on internal knowledge more than they apply abstract rules that you feed it. So yeah, we can pretty confidently say they imitate better than they follow rules. A bullet that says use short punchy sentences is one step removed from an actual short punchy sentence that you could provide as an example to the model. The model otherwise has to reconstruct from a description what it could read directly from a paragraph. So my rule is simple. Show the model. Drop 5 of your best pieces into the prompt in full at the top or as markdown docs inside of your prompt. Don't just rely on bullet points about how they should sound, but use some of the actual sentences that you would write, the paragraphs and the rhythm that you would want for the output. Then run a one-time extraction prompt. Ask the model to read across the 5 samples and write a voice profile from them. Save that profile as a file that you can reuse in your project. From now on, the prompt gets both the profile and the samples. The samples do the heavy lifting, but the profile keeps the model honest when your samples become too long. This is how you can turn your output from reading like a McKinsey one-pager to sounding like yourself on a Tuesday morning when you just had coffee. And this is a massive change that just comes from the same model with the same source material, but with proper samples that are doing the work for you here. So pick the 5 pieces that most sound like you at your best or like the piece that you want to produce. It could be a newsletter issue, it could be a LinkedIn post that got engagement that you cared about, or it could be a chapter or an article draft that you're working on. Then the next step is to just save them in a Notion page or a markdown file and then just paste them at the top of every prompt for the next little while. And boom, your outputs sound a lot less like AI and much more like the best version of you. And the best part of it is that your audience will recognize your voice again. And sure, there's still some editing involved, as there always should be, to get to the perfect final output. But this will get you 80 to 90% of the way there, and that's already a huge step. We just walked through the 4 context inputs, a RAG workflow, and a samples first voice approach. I strongly believe that this workflow stack alone will massively improve the quality of every draft that you produce with AI this quarter. Context engineering is the first step in your AI journey, and it's also one of the 7 systems that senior experts use to turn deep expertise into visible authority with AI. If you skip the other 6, your context briefs will only produce average engagement content. What you also need are the pre-mortem prompt that catches campaign failures before you launch anything, the proof bank that pulls testimonials into every email and posts them automatically. And finally, you need a workflow that turns one recording into 30 assets to increase your output without working more hours. I recorded a follow-up that breaks down how I do all 7, including the one most experts skip and the one my highest performing clients credit for every good output they've shipped since they started using it. Click up here to watch it next.